Why do I always clap? What is up, you rainbow royalty? Hello, today we are going to be learning about pronouns today. That's going to be a fun topic to learn about. Firstly, let's start off with what is a pronoun. Basically, a very simplified version of a pronoun is the term that you use when referring to somebody that's not their name. For example, for me, if you're referring to me with my name, you'd say Julia. However, with a pronoun, you would say she or her. So there's actually a lot more pronouns than people think that there are. So a lot of people know of the basic three, which we're going to talk about first, and then we'll get into the other ones. But before we even talk about pronouns, what we want to do is explain why somebody uses certain pronouns. Like sexuality and things like that, your pronouns can be very fluid in the fact that you can use multiple at a time or none. It doesn't really matter. You can just choose one. You can use all of them, whatever makes somebody feel comfortable. The point of pronouns is that you can gender people with the gender identity that they identify with. Let's get into them. First one, she and her. Like what I said before, it's pretty simple, straightforward. A lot of people use this one. And I want to mention that even though people may use pronouns such as she and her, it doesn't necessarily mean that their gender identity is female. Some people could be genderqueer, gender fluid, and a ton of different gender identities. So just because somebody uses certain pronouns doesn't necessarily mean that they identify with just a specific gender that you might relate that pronoun to. Next one, he, him. Again, simple. You might be wondering why I'm saying he, him, and not just he or just him. It's because I'm trying to show a couple different ways that you use it. He, him, his. I could go into that if I wanted to, but generally when people refer to their pronouns, they generally just say he, him, she, her, things like that, just the two, because those are the most commonly used. On to the third one. This one is they and them. So a lot of times people might think they and them is plural, but in this case it's actually singular, referring to one person as they or them. This term is a gender neutral term, so it doesn't really define a specific gender like you may with she or he. So the next pronouns, they're probably ones that you've never heard of, and they're all under the gender neutral category. So before I get into these terms, I just want to say that if I do mispronounce any of them, please let me know. I want to make sure that when I pronounce them in the future, that they're correct. Next one is a and air, another gender neutral one, and it is also used interchangeably with fae and faer. Another one, I'm not sure if it is e or a, and then m. This one is basically the same thing for both of them, per and per. Then we have v and ver, z and zem, te and ter, z and here. And a special mention here is the title for teachers or just adults in general. You know how you generally would use title Miss or Mrs. or Mr. The gender neutral term for that would be mix. So it's just MX. So that's just a special mention that in the future we'll probably see a lot more of, which is really cool. So you might be wondering why some people would use these other gender neutral terms, and it just comes down to the person, whatever makes them feel most comfortable. Perhaps using they, them is not comfortable for them, and they would prefer to use a and air or v and ver. It all comes down to the person, but we want to respect everybody's pronouns because the pronouns that they identify with makes them the most comfortable, and we want to make people as comfortable as possible. I also want to mention that when you meet people, I would say the best thing to do is just ask what their pronouns are. It will save you and them from feeling uncomfortable if you just ask their pronouns, and then you'll be good to go. If you use the wrong pronouns, obviously apologize. If somebody corrects you, thank them. And my strategy for that is basically if you say it wrong once, I would say repeat it the correct way at least 3 times, so you get ingrained in your brain the correct pronoun that you would use for that person. And also, sometimes people don't use pronouns at all, in which case you would just refer to them by their name and not have any pronouns, which again is totally okay. It all comes down to the person. And finally, never refer to somebody as it. That can be really offensive to a lot of people, so just avoid saying that in general and just ask for people's pronouns and respect them. So if you have more questions about pronouns, or you have other questions, or if you have video ideas, please let me know in the comment section down below, and I will try to do a video on them as soon as possible. But I'll see you guys in the next video, so bye-bye!